All right, we're live. We got kind of a shine in the back. Let me shut that light off in the back because it looks like it's a lot of glare. All right. Better? Yeah, that's a little better. Kenny here. How you doing? We have the carburetor from the Powermate generator. I've got my Chromebook here, which doesn't have a rear-facing camera. So I'm going to try like heck to talk about what I'm doing and maybe hopefully set it up so you guys can see what I'm doing. I don't know how easy it's going to be. You got bright lights. I really want to show you what I'm doing, but, well, I may have to just lift it up and show you what I'm doing, but that's okay. Hey, James, poor timing. Get back to your business, James. I know your business. Get back to it. All right. You can put the phone next to your pillow. That's fine. No problem. JD Tech, how you doing? Sorry about the job, JD. Hope something's coming up for you soon. Guy dropped off a generator 2 days ago. Guy I work with, nice guy. Couple things. I just did a quick video on the pull cord where you just rewinded a couple extra turns. And what I hate is when you use your phone for videos, even though I was holding it this way, it came out like portrait, and I can't stand portrait. So I'm sorry for that. But anyway, the information's there. Those of you that, haven't rolled around starter cords, I mean, you don't have to disassemble it. And this guy was telling me he took the whole starter apart, this and that. And I was like, you don't have to take the starter apart. You just rewind it a little extra, couple turns, and you're done. So that's done. So that part of the generator is working. Now I have this thing, which I'm sure the gas that came out was like almost between urine and pea soup color. So it didn't smell real bad, but yeah, it's been in there for a while. Not a lot came out. Maybe a gallon came out. It wasn't that bad. So basically, I'm just going to take the carb apart. It'll probably just be the main jet and all that. But what I want to start with on these carburetors, and I've talked to you guys about JIS screwdrivers. And this carburetor had one of those anti-dieseling solenoids on the bottom with a little green plastic cover. And it's held down with 2 screws. Everyone says, oh, they're Phillips screws. No, they're not Phillips screws. They're JIS screws. And the difference between the JIS screw and a Phillips screw, there is a difference. And I don't know if you could pick it out, but on the head, let's see here, in between the 2 things there, see that dot? Oops, see if you can see it. Yeah, there you go. See that dot right in the middle at 12 o'clock? That dot on a screw that looks like a Phillips signifies JIS, or Japanese Industrial Standard, not Phillips. So it's not a Phillips number 2, it's a JIS number 2. And you can go on Amazon and buy JIS screwdrivers. They're cheap. You can get a set of 4 for $10, $12. The only reason I recommend it is a lot of times people will use a Phillips number 2 bit or a Phillips number 2 screwdriver, and they'll round these heads off. And a lot of times you have to use an impact to even get them off. And I'll be honest with you, use the right screwdriver. These here, even though they were tight, I didn't have to use an impact driver. I was able to use my JIS screwdriver and crack, and they did crack, so they were tight, but they did come off because this gives you more bite than a Phillips. The angle is different. It does make a difference. So just an FYI for you guys. So on these carburetors, let me put on my specs here. Basically, on the bottom, I don't want to get my computer wet. You've got a nut holding it on. I believe it's 9/16. So let me grab a 9/16 out of the toolbox right here. What? 9/16. All right. Take off this bowl nut and see what comes out. Let me get a paper towel or rag. Don't want to make a mess. And I'm sure my wife's going to be happy because the basement's going to smell like gasoline. All right. And I know Maddie always says this isn't a cooking show. This is a cooking show. I'm cooking carburetors. How's that? No, meaning there is no prep. We're going live. We make mistakes. We have fun. That's what it's all about. Anyway, Let's see what she looks like inside this bowl. What came out of it, like I said, it was pretty dark, yellowish green. You can see the nuts coming off kind of hard. Whenever the bowl nuts on your carburetor come off hard when you try and take them off, it means they're usually schmutzed up with varnish or junk or something. So let's see what we got here. All right. So like I said, 9/16 socket. Oh, it doesn't look too bad. Yeah, a little bit. All right. Yeah. All right. Hey. All right. Who's a fan of Jell-O? Because that's what we have in this carburetor. I don't know if you can see on this nut on the very end of it. See the Jell-O on the end of that nut? See it? Yeah, there's Jell-O. That's what happens to gasoline when ethanol's involved and it sits too long. It turns to Jell-O, just like diesel fuel gel. Same principle. And if you look inside here, I got a whole lot of Jell-O in there. Bill Cosby would be proud. Jell-O pudding. Yeah, all kinds of Jell-O in there, fellas. Look at that. All kinds of Jell-O. Let me get a light. Maybe you can see it better. But it actually, it's funny. It almost looks like beluga caviar. Tons of it. Let me see if I can get a light and show you better. All right. All right. I don't want to pour any junk. All right. Can you see it, guys? Look at that. Full of Jell-O. Tons of Jell-O in there. And it looks like it's been in there a little while because it's dark in color, a little light in color. It's all over the place. So it's been in there. And by the look of the fuel, I guess the story on this generator was the owner's son borrowed it, kept it outside, didn't use it, didn't start it, and kept the same gas in it for a while. So hence, that's what's going on. The rest of it, actually, this light is a killer here. I wish I didn't have it. The rest doesn't look too bad. The rest of it, I'll take out the jet to inspect it, but it doesn't look too bad. The main thing is getting all the schmutz or the Jell-O out of this carb float bowl. So let me use my scrunchie to see if I can get some of it out of here. Oof. Yeah, there's a lot in here. Holy cow. That's a lot of schmutz. Look at this. It's like honey-colored caviar. Schmutz. But anyway, the gel that is that. All right, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take my non-chlorinated brake clean. I think I've told you guys, those of you that weld and use brake clean, please use the non-chlorinated brake clean. Chlorinated brake clean will produce phosgene gas if you weld on it, because that's what it leaves is part of the chlorine and everything else that gets left on the part as it dries. If you weld and there's still a little bit of this residue left over, it'll produce phosgene gas, which is deadly. So please use the non-chlorinated solvent. Not just to save the environment, I don't know about that, but I just know save your life if you're a welder. So just food for thought, tip for the day. All right, let me get a pan. I'll get a pan. Is Matt, who else is on? Just you two? Yeah, right. Sounds good, JD. Everything in the U.S. Good luck with that. Who else is on? Where's Maddie? Maddie's not there? Nobody's here? Just JD and James? See that? All right, let's see. Yeah, see if Maddie was on, I could show him. Here's the cables that go with that DTI tack I gave him. So that way, if he wants to be like Walt always hooks up the wire to the plug wire so you can get a direct reading and it won't bounce as much when you use that tachometer. The problem is you have to have the cover off to attach it to the wire. By not using the wire, it's a wireless tack, and hence the name. All right. Let's see. I don't want to squirt near my computer, so oof, a lot of junk in here. I'm going to squirt back here, guys. Away from the computer. Bear with me a minute. And I tell you, the aerosol in these carb cleaners is real powerful. Wow, this has a lot of stuff in it. Yeah, not too bad. That ought to do. Yeah, if you look, I don't know if you can see it, a lot of stuff came out. A lot of stuff. It was full of Jello. All right. My favorite tool in the whole shop, compressed air. Oh, that didn't clean up too bad. The only issue with the ethanol and attracting water and all that. Oh, people are asking me about my shirt. It says, on the 8th day, God created machinists and was within a tenth of perfection. If people don't know, that's a tenth of a thousandth of an inch. And usually tool makers and machinists talk in terms of tenths of thousands. So hence the shirt. Anyway, there's a little bit of pitting. If you look in the bowl, there is, see the pitting? There's a little bit of pitting on the bottom. Nothing you can do about that. That's what happens when you use aluminum or magnesium. You're going to get the pitting. It's just a shame that he had this thing outside for so long. And you could even look at the screwdriver that I used to clean it with. It's already started to oxidize and turn white. And that's what happens inside the carburetor. It'll actually start to oxidize. So, like I said, it cleaned up okay. It's just that, it had a lot of schmutz. Okay. All right. So there's that. Let me wash off the nozzle. Yeah, see, the nozzle has schmutz in it too. Let me get my wire that I used to clean out the carburetor nozzles. Where are we here with wire? There we go. When I clean out carburetors, I have a stack of these tags. I don't know where I got them. I got them years ago. And I use these wires to clean out carburetors and jets and everything else. But this jet, you can see, it is plugged. You can see it. There is schmutz in there, so you got to clean it out. So, and the way this plug is situated, the anti-dieseling solenoid uses the O-ring on the bottom of this main jet to seal against. Okay. Actually, this isn't really a main jet. This is more of just a supply tube, like an emulsion type tube. But there is a jet. I'll take it out and I'll show you. Who else is here? Nobody else is here. I'm not popular today. James, call Maddie. Tell him to get online. Actually, go back to what you were doing, James, and then we'll see who else shows up. I was going to do this and tape it and then edit it, but I don't have any way to edit. With a Chromebook, there's no hard drive, so you really don't have software or anything to edit. So I figured, hey, go live. Why not? Who cares? It was funny. We talked about my subscribers the other day and my tack giveaway and all that. And I did get about 5 or 6 people subscribed. So thank you for that. That was good. Yeah, one thing I like to do. Yeah, this thing's not too bad. I usually go over it with a brass brush, but it doesn't look too bad. It really doesn't. Yeah, threads look good. Everything looks good. Okay, that's all set. The O-ring that was on it has a little bit of oxidation on it. You can see the white oxidation. That'll usually just wipe off. I'm not going to spray it with carb cleaner. It'll expand it, and my luck, it won't seal. So I'm just going to basically wipe off the oxidation. Yeah, one thing you got to watch for whenever, brake parts cleaner, not as bad. I found the worst cleaner that expands things like needle and seats and all that is STP carb cleaner. For some reason, whatever's in STP expands the heck out of rubber components. The only way I did find, though, you can get rubber components like gaskets and things to shrink back, boil them in water for 5 minutes. Usually the boiling water will boil out the solvents and let the thing shrink back to where it's supposed to be. Let me look and see what you guys are talking about. Hold on. Yeah, JD had some pretty cool videos there. He had some tool reviews, things like that. So, yeah, James has the big stuff. I think JD was into a little bit of the smaller stuff at a dealer, but James got some big stuff. So, pulling combines and things like that. So that's pretty big stuff. Put them in the freezer to shrink them, because normally what I've been told is the solvent gets leached into the rubber, and then by boiling, you're actually forcing it out of the rubber. So I should try freezing, though. I never have, especially on, hey, Lucky, how you doing, buddy? Did you go on this morning? I saw a 7 a.m. reminder, but I didn't see you there. I was out to breakfast, but when I got back, it didn't look like you were on. Just got motorized. Not the leg you hurt. You talking about the mud mower? What are you talking about? What are you talking about, Lucky? What got motorized? What got motorized? What got motorized? Come on, Lucky. What got motorized? Did you put something else on the mud mower? For those that aren't familiar, Lucky 7 mud mower has a pretty cool, I don't know if it's all-wheel drive or just two-wheel drive, but it's a pretty cool tractor that he goes, it's like a high wheel tractor, and he goes through all the mud with it, all paths and swamps and this and that. It's pretty cool. But unfortunately, he got hurt last year. And are you fully recovered now, Lucky, or what's the deal with that? How's the leg and the foot and everything doing, the ankle and all that stuff? I know we all tried to chip in, help you out. I'm hoping everything is well with you, And Lucky's pretty close to me. He's only probably a couple hours away in Rhode Island, so not too bad. Got a nice shop there. He does mostly, trucks and things like that. But one of these days, Lucky, I'll stop by. One of these days. So what's motorized? Tell us. Anyhow, all right, let me grab a screwdriver to get out this jet. Let me see how it looks. One thing is you can never have too many screwdrivers. Whenever I see them on sale, different sizes and widths, I buy them. This is the one I use for jets most of the time because it's narrow. It's called a cabinet screwdriver, or electrician screwdriver, actually, because the head is thin enough so it could go into wall plate screws and electrical box screws. That's why you can get them from Klein, is the most common with the rubber grip. But if you also are in a hardware store or something and you ask for a cabinet screwdriver, some of the old cabinet flathead screws use the thin flat blade screwdriver. Hey, Willie CK, how you doing, buddy? I saw your videos. They're very good. I looked at them this morning. Basically, guys, if the ones who just joined us, Lucky and Willie, I have a generator that wasn't working, wasn't starting, and it was basically full of this stuff, Jello. All right, the old Jello. We've all seen it when carburetors sit for a while. The ethanol attracts water, and it turns the fuel and everything into Jello. So basically, the main jet was, the bottom bowl nut was okay. The bowl I cleaned out. It was full. It looked like caviar. That was full, so that was cleaned. I also mentioned the screws that are used on the bottom to hold the anti-dieseling solenoid. If you notice, there's where is it? There's a dot. See that dot on the top of the head between the two things? That means it's a JIS screw, not a number 2 Phillips. JIS. Go to Amazon and buy a couple of JIS screwdrivers. Make life easy. The screws will come out. You won't strip them. A number 2 Phillips, you will strip them. So I really do believe when you see the dot on there, use the right screwdriver. Okay. Rather Jello over green algae. That's true, Willie. Luckily, it didn't smell. Although there was a little algae in the fuel. When I strained the fuel through a paper towel, I did see some funky stuff in there. So what I'm going to have to do is fill it up with some fresh fuel and drain out maybe a half a gallon until the tank is cleaned out. There is an inline, the Briggs red disc filter on this thing. So, it's got the 150 micron filter on it. I'll check that to see if it's full of schmutz. If it is, I'll put another one in or I'll clean it out. What people have to realize is on those red Briggs disc filters, always mark what side faces the carburetor before you take it off and try and clean it. Because if you don't and you put it on backwards, you're going to force the dirt into your carburetor. So either replace it with new or mark which end is facing the carburetor so you can install it the right way and you're not introducing garbage back into your carb. Since they're red plastic, you can't see if there's dirt inside. You can look inside the little hole and sometimes see dirt in the screen, but for the most part, you really can't see it. So yeah, in the workshop, Nikki, how you doing, buddy? Can't wait till you get your package. Let me know what's in that thing. I think we're all going to want a video on that, Nick. Definitely. Yeah, Nikki, it's a generator I'm working on. It's called a Coleman generator. It's a fairly cheap carburetor with these Powermate engines, these Chonda clone engines. So basically there was Jello in it. I took all the Jello out. And now I'm going to look at the main jet and emulsion tube to see what's going on with that. All right, let's see what we got here. And generally on these carburetors, it's a two-piece jet. You have the main piece with the screwdriver slot on the bottom, and then the longer piece which protrudes into the carburetor, which is the emulsion tube. And most of the time you can get to the emulsion tube by pressing down on it. I don't know if you can see inside the carburetor at 12 o'clock, if you guys can see at 12 o'clock. Yeah, there it is. See that brass piece in there sticking out in the bottom there? That's the emulsion tube. And the emulsion tube, usually you just take a flat screwdriver and pop it down, and that pops it right out. Sometimes when you pop it, it may not come easily, so you may have to either tap the carburetor or coax it with a piece of wire. Coax it with a piece of wire. And I use, like I said, I have tag wire from old tags. Company I worked at years and years ago, they were throwing out a bunch of these tags, and I grabbed some. And it's cool because you could bend it, you could do what you want with it. So I'm going to bend it and push out this emulsion tube. Hopefully that'll be all I need. Come on. Let's see. No, not coming out with the wire. I'm going to have to get a pick and do it with a pick. So give me a second. I got to go back. I should put my toolbox, my other toolbox, right next to this where the camera is, but I can't. It's a big rollaway that's 5 feet away, 10 feet away. Who's here? Who's coming in? How many we got? All right, back. So Harbor Freight picks. I have Craftsman picks. Every style of pick you want, I got them. I probably have 10 or 15 different picks. Let's see if I can push out that shit. There we go. All right. Now, the way this is in the top, what I showed you, this is the emulsion tube. Only 5 watching. See, I feel bad. This is the emulsion tube. Okay, fuel goes in from all sides and mixes and comes up through the center. And at the very bottom is actually the main jet, so it butts up against it. The main jet is what holds it into the carburetor. So I'm going to use my wire and make sure things look pretty good. I think since it didn't start, oh no, it's plugged. Holy cow. I don't know if you can see it, guys, because of the fine. Yeah, see? The second one or third one from the right is plugged. There's one of them that's got some schmutz in it. Okay. Well, that's good. So I can actually use my wire and clean it out. Yeah, all right. Well, that's good. At least I found it. Sometimes you look at these things and they're always perfectly clean. It depends on if the guy ran this thing or tried to run it and it sucked up a lot of bad gas into it. Normally, if it doesn't start on the first or second pull, they'll call somebody. So, and if you get to it in time, it's fine. I don't mind cleaning out all the stuff in the bowl. The bowl is easy, but once it starts to get up into the carburetor, then you got to get into the ultrasonics and all that. And sometimes it's not worth it. I mean, something like this, these carburetors, you get the Chinese ones. I'm trying to see what brand this one is. Normally they're either like Hua or something like that. Yeah, this one, XINHA RAX. No. That's weird. No, XINRA, whatever that means. I can't pronounce it. So it's some kind of Chinese whatever. Yeah, but we'll see. Things should be okay. All right, let's finish cleaning out this jet. Who else is here? James, Nikki, get Cole from Matt. I'm just wondering how much it costs to ship, Nikki. He said, I know New Zealand was $70 to ship a toolkit. I don't know what it's like across the pond. I'm sure not as much as New Zealand or Australia, but probably a few dollars. So we'll see. We'll see how generous he is with the package. Let us know when you get it. I'd love to see what's in there. So Lucky, did you ever tell us what got motorized? Let's see. Let me see. I'll get the carb. Walking but not running laps. Well, that's good. That's good. You're in New Hampshire, Willie? Oh, no. Lucky's saying go to New Hampshire. Let's see. Yeah, don't ask me on shit. Yeah, I won't ask you, but I'm just curious as to how it's getting there. I just had, I don't know everyone's experience with Amazon. I had a bad experience this week. Not the first time. I ordered 2 carburetors for Craftsman chainsaws. The Craftsman Poulon, or we call them Pulaskis. Anyway, just the carburetors. They're $24. And original carburetors, they're original Zama carbs. And, for $24, it's not worth me taking it apart, cleaning it and all that stuff. So I ordered them Saturday of last week. They said 1 day delivery. I said, great. I'm a Prime member, whatever. They said 1 day in stock. No problem. So I ordered some fuel line, that real special fuel line that they sell, and the 2 carbs for the 2 saws. Sunday comes, nothing. Then all of a sudden I get an email. Monday delivery. Okay, 30th, Monday. Okay, no problem. Monday comes and goes. Monday night, 11 o'clock at night, get an email or text from Amazon saying, order on hold, undeliverable. I was home. What do you mean on hold, non-deliverable? You click on the link, nothing shows up. So New Year's Day, I call up Amazon. I said, where's my package? Oh, we're going to have to cancel. Why? It's a couple of carburetors. It said it was in stock, delivered via Amazon, yada, yada, yada. So needless to say, the lady from New Delhi or wherever she was from, it definitely wasn't America, said, no, we'll cancel your order. We'll credit your card, yada, yada, yada. Okay. So I said, are you going to cancel it? She said, yeah. I said, okay. So I look on there. It's still showing as we'll deliver by December 30th. Does that mean I'll get it December 30th this year? Probably. What's going to happen is I reordered the 2 carbs and I reordered the 2 fuel lines. The ones that said are on hold, can't deliver, yada, yada, guaranteed. The other ones are due by 9 p.m. today. I'll get both of them today. The one that they lost or can't find it, I'll get both today. So that's okay. I'll get a free set, No big deal. But I just love how they tell you undeliverable, on hold. I'm like, why? Well, we don't know, sir. What do you mean you don't know? It's your company. What do we got on the way out the door? Lucky, have a good day, pal. We'll talk to you soon. Tecum's car. There's Oregon carb. Yeah, Oregon's not bad, but Willie, who makes the Oregon carbs? I hate to tell you. Who makes the Oregon carbs, Willie? They're not all made in the USA. I know some of them say that, but some of the Oregon stuff I've gotten. In fact, do I have it here? I'll show you something from Oregon. And I like Oregon. Don't get me wrong. They make some good product. Here's an Oregon Sprocket. Bought it last year for the get-together up at Dan's place. And I don't know if you could see it, but the rim is off center 40 thousandths from the center of the drum. So needless to say, when I put this on my saw, I put an indicator on it. It was wobbling like 40 thousandths. It's Oregon, okay? And if you notice, made in Canada, okay? Not China, Canada. So when people tell you, oh, yeah, it's not made in China, well, it's not made in the USA. So beware. I don't care what you buy. Most of the stuff isn't made in the US. And if it is made in the US, you're going to pay more for it. So, hey, like anything else, you get what you pay for. So anyway, but not saying Oregon's bad. Oregon's got great product, great chains. I mean, or great bars. Oregon makes great product. And the thing was, I ordered it through HL Supply. And I don't know, James, if you want to throw in the link for HL Supply for Maddie to give Maddie some credit on there. But HL Supply, within 2 days, I had another Sprocket in my hand. So that tells you how good HL Supply is. I called them on a Friday afternoon when this was an issue. And Tuesday morning, 2 business days later, I had a new Sprocket in my hand. So thumbs up to HL Supply. They really stand by what they sell in their business. So thumbs up to them. Let me blow out this jet. Emulsion tube, rather. Okay. All right. Now the main jet. Let me see if I can see through it. Ah, here we go, guys. The main jet. Let me block the light. If you notice, can't see through it, right? Cannot see through it. Blocked. So we take our wire. And that definitely wouldn't have sucked any fuel. So, oh yeah, nice white schmutz jello. Yeah, beautiful. Full of schmutz. Word of the day, schmutz. Yeah. As you can see now, gentlemen, you can see through it. So that definitely wouldn't have run. Illy, how you doing, my friend? How are you? Welcome. Thanks for stopping by. Carburetor for a generator. I did a little video on the pull rope because it had some slack in it. We fixed that. The gas that came out of it was so bad. It was actually full of jelly, or jello, I call it. Now it's hardened into like a white mass on my bench once it's hit oxygen. So the emulsion tube was plugged. The main jet was plugged. Now the main jet is clear. You can see my face in the center there. So that's good. I will take out the, hold on. The float pin. The needle looks good. There's no discoloration, no schmutz on it or anything. I'll wipe it, but I won't really have to do anything to it. The only thing you can see inside the body of this carburetor, the gasket itself is covered with the schmutz, all that white stuff that's all dried on. So I'll scrape some of that off, but be careful when you're scraping. You don't want to deform the gasket in any way so it won't seal. And I'm afraid to take that seal out. I'll just give it a quick wipe. It's actually in there pretty good. And this, actually, I probably have one of these gaskets. If you notice the gaskets on a lot of these Chinese carburetors, the way you can tell it's one of these gaskets is they usually have 3 rubber nibs at 120 degrees each. It looks like a round gasket, like a Tecumseh or Kohler or Briggs, but there's 3 nubs on them. That's how you can usually tell they're for the Chinese carburetors. All right. Let me see. You just have to watch, though, when you're dealing with the rubber, especially the Chinese rubber, because you don't even know what it is, and you don't want to cause it to get all buggered up. There is some of the schmutz inside here. Not much, just probably when I took the bowl out and turned it upside down, but not much. I'll blow this thing out, and I think we'll be okay. All right. That looks good. All right. Looks like everything's clean. The main thread inside, normally they're 3/8-24 on American carbs. I don't know if they're metric on the Chinese carbs, but everything's clean. The needle, like I said, I'll just wipe it real quick. It looks okay. It doesn't look like it has any damage to it. It doesn't look like it has any swelling to it. It's still pointy. The needle looks okay. The rubber needle, don't put carb cleaner on the rubber needle. It will swell. It'll never seal. Yeah, let's get 1,000 cups for me. That's for sure. I actually have them, Nikki. I'm trying to think what drawer I have them in. I do have the cleaning brushes. They're somewhere. But I'll be honest, Nick, my shop is so filthy right now that half the stuff that I have, who the heck knows where half of it is, to be honest with you. I do have all the brushes. I have all that stuff. I have, usually you get those when you buy like the carb tools. I'll give you a set of those brushes and things. And I do have them, but I'll be honest, I have so much stuff that I bought over the years. If I clean my shop, I'll find all of it. And that's the problem when you have a ton of crap. You can't find half of it, you know? Let's see. Yeah, hey, James, do you think he sent it collect? Just joking, you know, but that's funny. Oh gosh, that would be funny. All right, so we'll put the float, shake it first. There's no fuel in it. Always shake your float. Make sure there's no fuel in it to see if it's leaking or not. All right, we'll put that back in. We'll put the float pin back in. Maybe this weekend I'll go to Walmart and pick up a cheap laptop or something, and we'll get some software. You can see carburetors level. On these carburetors, level is pretty good for the float height, so that works. All right. Now we have to put in the emulsion tube. That goes in first. The emulsion tube, the long end always goes up because it sticks out into the venturi of the carburetor. So you drop that in, and generally you push it down, and it'll stop itself at the top. So now you can see it? There it is, sticking right there at 12 o'clock, sticking out. All right. Next to go in, the main jet that I cleaned with you guys. So you can see, where is it? Hold on. There it is with the hole. Put that in, find thread. Be careful with the thread, because if you cross thread it, you'll be cursing yourself forever and buying another carburetor. What I normally do is I'll rotate the screwdriver backwards until it clicks on the first thread, and then I go righty-tighty. And again, I'm using a electrician or cabinet maker screwdriver, which are very thin. They fit in here well. They fit into the jet well. And when you use the larger screwdrivers, the ones that look like this, that have the wider edges on them, sometimes if they're a little too wide, they'll start wiping out the threads inside the carburetor. You don't want that. Make sure the carburetor that you use, even if you have to grind down the sides of it to fit inside the tube, make sure it's not hitting the threads. Because if you go in there and you're starting to skive the threads, you get metal chips. Not good. Not good. All right. Turn that in there. Another thing, when you're tightening these things down, don't be too tight with it. I mean, it's got to be tight, yeah, but don't go crazy where you're going to go nuts with it. Okay, that's in. One thing I didn't do, and I will do right now, there's the drain screw on the carburetor. I'll take that drain screw off. Let's see what size metric. Got my metric tools right here. 10 millimeter. Oh, man. Oh, my gosh. Wow, that's tight. I guess that's the reason he didn't drain any fuel out. Wow. That sucker is on there tight. Oh, holy cow. Wow, that was tight. Never been off, I'm assuming. There. Drain screw. It's got a plastic gasket on it. Yeah, there's no nothing in there. Nice and clean, black plastic gasket. Nothing inside the hole. Everything's clean. So let me just give it a quick blowout just to make sure there's nothing in there. Actually, a little bit of liquid did come out, so there's probably some old gas in the passageway that goes into the carburetor for the drain. All right, so we'll put this back on. Not going to tighten it like King Kong like it was on there before. And ironically, if you look at this screw, it's a hex head, but it has a Phillips in the middle of it, which I'm sure is a JIC, but there is no dot. So if someone was trying to look and say, hey, where's the dot? There is no dot on this thing. So, and if you see the fit, it's not a number 2. It's like a number 3 or even a number 4. So my JICs, I have 0s, 1s, and 2s. I got to get some 3 and 4s, but not many JICs are bigger like the 3s and 4s. Okay, so that's done. The bowl is done. Ready to go back together. And the way this carburetor came off, the fuel was facing to the right. So when you put it back on, generally the drain goes to the left. There's a generator, so to the left-hand side of the generator carburetor is always open space. So always point your drains to the left. That way you can unscrew it and just let it piss out, and it won't go into the engine shroud and all that stuff. All right. All right, so put that on. Actually, you know what? There's still some schmutz on the bottom of this bowl. See that schmutz on the bottom there? Still some schmutz. Let me get that off. That's where the O-ring goes. A little bit on there. I just want to make sure that O-ring is going to seal. Okay. All right. So we'll put the bowl back on, pointing away. We will take the O-ring that sits in that little counter bore there on the bottom of the bowl. We have the cleaned up bowl nut that's been cleaned. And it looks like there's no junk in there. All right. So we'll put that back on. Turn it back in, and as I said before, it's a 9/16 screw. Bye, Willie. Take care. Good stopping by. Good seeing you. Yeah, the 712. Love that tractor. I'll take a look at your vid later, the next one, when you put it out. All right, so 9/16. Be careful when you're tightening down these bowl nuts. Easy to strip the threads. They're very fine. And remember, it's either aluminum or magnesium against brass. So two soft metals, they're not going to take a lot. And you're sealing against an O-ring on the bottom and an O-ring on here. So, okay, basically this is ready to install. So what I'm going to do, I have to pick up some fresh fuel. Oh, actually, you know what? I missed something, guys. I'm sorry. I missed something. One thing that happens on these carburetors all the time, since they're Honda clones, is the pilot jet gets clogged. And the pilot jet is what causes the hunting. And there is a pilot jet on here. So let me take that out for you, and I will talk about it. Now, this is what's funny. This manufacturer has put a plug on the adjustment for the idle mixture, okay? Now, on generators, you really don't have an idle unless it has that special option with a solenoid that turns the engine to a low RPM and then governs it back up to 3,600. So I don't know why they have a plug over this, but we'll make quick work of that. Let me take that off. Yeah, the pilot jet, or the idle air bleed, as it sometimes is called, all right, is crucial. So see the plug on there? I'm taking the plug off. And if you notice, under the plug is the adjuster, that Phillips adjuster right there. And that's your idle adjuster. So I'm going to make a note of how far the idle screw is out. It's about 1/8 of an inch. So I'm going to remove that. You have to remove the idle speed screw to get to the pilot jet. So I'm surprised nobody chimed in. Pilot jet is critical on these carburetors. All right. And usually on these are plastic pilot jets. And if they plug, you'll see it right away. It's a very, very, very small jet right there. There's the pilot jet. And it pops up with either your hand. Actually, this is a two-piece. The top piece comes off, and then the bottom piece pops off with a flat screwdriver. You can see on here this bottom piece, and there's usually an O-ring that holds it in. So I'm, where are you? Popping it off. There you go. Okay. And yeah, there's a little bit of schmutz in there, not much though. Okay. This pilot jet is crucial to having an engine that runs without hunting. All right. The pilot jet always has a very, very, very tiny hole. See it in the end? It's so tiny you could barely even see it. And in a lot of cases, a wire like this is too big. It won't fit inside the hole. So I'm going to check real quick to see. Yeah, see, my wire is too big. So what I do, take a wire brush, the small wire brushes you buy, rip a bristle off with a needle nose plier and use one of the bristles. That's usually small enough to fit in the hole. So you can take any kind of wire brush that you have, any kind of wire brush. The bristles on these brushes are generally very, very fine, literally a few thousandths of an inch. Pull it out, and if you notice, very, very fine wire, very fine. That wire will fit into the pilot jet hole. A wire that you have, the ones that you get in the jet cleaners and stuff that Nikki was saying or Willie was saying, the tube cleaners and stuff, they're not fine enough. This wire is probably maybe 3/1000th in diameter. So I'm going to take that wire and I'm going to make sure that my pilot jet is free. Good thing I got my specs on. Stick it in the end. Yep, it's actually coming out the side. Oh, see it there, fellas? Oh, can you see it? Yeah, see the wire coming out the side? So the actual brass jet portion of it is free. There is no blockage. All right. And by having no blockage, that means this thing should idle fine. The fuel goes into the large hole and comes out the small idle air bleed. So that's good. Okay. I just wanted to check it because a lot of times I know when these jets aren't checked and they start hunting, that's what the problem is. So let me just make sure there's no schmutz in there. Yeah, it's clean in there. There's no. Yeah. Okay. So you just put it back. You just pop it in. It's an O-ring. So you just stick it in there. Only goes in one way. You pop it in like that. Boom. Pops right in. This one has a cover to it that gets held in by the screw that adjusts your idle so it can't fall out. So you stick that back in as such. So now you have the assembly that looks like that. That's your idle air bleed. Then you put back in your idle screw. And as I said before, the idle screw was set at roughly 1/8 of an inch, but it really doesn't matter on a generator because this one does not have an auto idle feature, which means it'll always be running at around 3,600 RPM to get you your 60 cycles per second. Matt's live now. Damn him. No, just kidding. Go over there. Have fun. I'm almost done with this, guys. Seriously. I'm going to throw this back together. I'm going to go get some fresh gas because I don't have any fresh gas. I'm going to put it in there. I'm going to flush out the tank with some fresh gas. Then I'll do a video, hopefully with it running. So go see Matty Olson on his channel right now, guys. And I will be back on when I put this on and get it running, and I'll let you know how he made out. So that's okay. Go join Matty, guys. That's fine. I'm done with this. It's back together. I got to put it on, and then I'll be on later, and I'll show you guys what's going on. So thanks for stopping, everybody. It's okay. Like, go over there. Like I said, I got to put this on, and I don't have my phone to use because I don't have the 1,000 subscribers. So I'm not going to bring my Chromebook into the garage because it's all nasty in there. So go see Matty. I will be back on later. Let me get my gas. Let me put the carb on. I'll get it running, and then you'll see me back on. All right. We'll talk to you later, guys. Thanks for stopping. We'll talk to you later. Go see Matty. Bye-bye.